off by making the announcements that we've changed. So in here, I have switched to my story writing stream. Come join to watch the progress. Okay, and in this channel as well. Perfect. So, first things first, we're going to do another read through. I know we just did on Thursday, but I think starting it off like this is a good idea. A couple of things that have changed. Um, he had changed. Where was it? He had changed one of these things, and I don't remember where it was. And there's not a way for me to see what's what that's been changed, so that's a little annoying. Tasks, keep, calendar. Nope. Okay. He had made a suggestion that was really good, and I should have kept it and made a note for today. I will have to do that in the future. He's also got something that we're going to be working on today, a suggestion for um, describing what it's like to activate the mandate scythe. And then, yeah, same here as well. Examples of him doing this, use it as a way to introduce a raider to his powers early on. Yeah, so we're going to do that as well. First things first, though, we're going to do a read-through. An attack approaches. I open my eyes as my body tightens with fear. Trying to wake up without moving, I search with my senses for what alerted me, finding that the air hums with a feeling, as if a sound is happening but I can't hear it. The air shifting like it would before a drummer beats, or the swell of a piper as they take their breath. Every motion of the air around me feels hostile, like it's been given an intent that it didn't have before. My very breath feels acidic in my mouth, the gust scraping my throat as it exits. Trying desperately to make out the direction or purpose of this bizarre feeling, I lay in bed as I wait for the attack to be more clear. I listen. Then suddenly I feel insane, needlessly second-guessing my powers like I did years ago, berating myself mentally. What am I doing? Listening to the wind for an opponent? And something that made it through everybody doing edits on Thursday, an uncapitalized I. I toss the thought aside for now as I continue to mutter and get out of bed to start my day. I have things to do, with or without a threat. Trying to convince my sleep-deprived mind that this is a real world, I uncharacteristically use my powers to accomplish my morning tasks simply to prove that I have them and that this threat is real. As my body wakes to the exertion and requirements of my chores, I get this nagging feeling that I should recognize the sensation, that I felt it before, somewhere else. The sound changes ever so slightly as the memory appears from the recesses of my or comes to mind. I still like appears from the recesses of my mind there because it's supposed to be an old memory. It's just enough that I can make it out now. It's a slow rise and fall, as if to a beat too far apart for me to notice. Scrambling to gather my things, I attempt to block out my fear. The last time I heard this sound, everything changed. Running up the path from my field to the shed in terror, I try to gather my thoughts about what's approaching. We were told she was stable. She had found where she was supposed to be. What happened to set her off like this again, and why did she come this way? My thoughts stop as I near my shed. It's been so long since I've required the use of my tool. This moment hangs heavy in my mind as I consider the effects of me wielding it again. As I approach the door, I remember the feeling of my tool, the power it gave me, and the connection to the world around me I felt when moving together with it. I smell the fresh scent of my powers at work from the back of my mind, the clean air, the pure water, the rot of transmutation, and the scent of pure joy. As my hands itch for the feel of my scythe, I reach for the door, and find my tool on the other side. Picking it up, it feels like any other scythe. A deadwood handle with an iron blade. And to anyone but a mandate of my particular skill set, it is. That's what he changed. He added of my particular skill set. There we go. I have almost forgotten the sound that approaches as I get caught up in the reclamation of my tool. As I remember that it's there, it changes, almost as if reaction to my thought. It starts humming deeply, sounding as if the ground itself is moving. It shakes my bones in a way that is impossible to ignore. Realizing that this means she is closer than I feared, I quickly push energy into the scythe, charging and awakening it. Rushing out of the shed, I see that the clear sky has changed into a swirling thunderstorm. Not knowing how I didn't hear the rain, I run down the hill, trying my best not to slide on the now slick path. Looking over the rolling hills, I see a swirl of water approaching. I see. Hmm. Okay, so this is awkward. Looking over the rolling hills, I see a swirl of water approaching. See that it's pulsing with the wind and pushing with and against the rolling beat in the air. So this isn't necessary. So looking over the rolling hills, I see a swirl of water approaching, that it's pulsing with and against the rolling beat in the air. I know who it is. Readying my scythe, I grow the hardened trees around me, hoping that I remember how to make them resistant to her sound. Spreading the tree trunks around me and my house, I prepare for the approach. A few minutes later, Bella rushes down the hill, tearing up the ground in her wake from sheer force of the sound coming off of her. As she gets nearer, I hear the subtleties of the song coming from her instrument, each note tearing through my ears with the force of a hammer. It screams as though it were human. As long as I'm remembering correctly, her tool is a violin. Violins should not make this sound. It is agonizing, a scream so guttural it makes me want to puke from the pain it contains. The hostility in the air is suddenly a full-on attack, tearing at my skin and peeling at its layers. I wield my tool and hold the air around me, buffering the sound with its own energy. She is suddenly in front of me, pulling back her bow. She flicks the fingers of her left hand and draws the bow across the strings, letting out a wave of force so strong it makes it through my spell, throwing me in the direction of my age-hardened trees. Time shifts. I see her face, unfeeling and yet insane in every way, her eyes lost in searching for something unreachable. Realizing I am in danger, I reach for the air around me and move as much as I can behind me to soften my landing. Passing through the dense section of air, I fall to the ground, struggling to breathe. I release the air with a massive thud of a sound, as if a large balloon popped slowly. Looking up, I see Bella has disappeared, and I do not see her in the surrounding area. Getting up, I look around to find Bella see and ah! Getting up, I look around to find Bella and see a wall of water and mist 100 feet away. Not sure what she is planning, I waver in attacking again. Okay, so not yesterday, Thursday when we were writing this out, we left just on the crux of the beginning of the actual attack, the main focus point of this story, where each of their powers are going to be on full display. I do want to clean up a little bit of the preamble though. So if we look back here, we of course have Heek's two suggestions. Counters incoming, no, it's this. No, it is not, this. So describing activating her tool, as well as examples of doing their tasks, using their powers to do their tasks. So let's start with this one. I'm going to suggest edits. We're going to remove this, right? And now we're going to add a space, since apparently I removed the space. Delete and add space. Perfect. Da 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 da. So first of all, I uncharacteristically use my powers. Da da da. Watering the plants without. No. Watering the plants by summoning little clouds out of the morning mist, or convincing the animals to listen to me. And okay, what is it? So they're working on a farm. Listen to me and go where I need them. So let's go back and fix this capitalization. I uncharacteristically use my powers, watering plants by summoning little clouds out of the morning mist, or convincing the animals to listen to me and go where I need them. Okay. Now, I wanted to mention in this that it's primarily to convince them that they have powers. So, trying, come on, trying my best to convince myself. Can I type that this is not a dream? That what is here and in front of me is real. In front, okay. Is real, and the danger that my powers are warning me of is coming. Okay, let's read through this. Trying to convince my sleep-deprived mind that this is the real world, I uncharacteristically use my powers. I don't want that first part of the sentence if I'm setting this up the way I am. I uncharacteristically use my powers, watering the plants by summoning little clouds out of clouds. Okay. Clouds out of the morning mist, or convincing animals to listen to me and go where I need them. Trying my best to convince myself that this is not a dream, that what is here and in front of me is real, and that the danger my powers are warning me of is coming. I'm happy with that. So we're going to do that and do that. So, I uncharacteristically use my powers, watering the plants and summoning little clouds out of the morning mist. Watering the plants by summoning little clouds out of the morning mist, convincing the animals to listen to me and go where I need them. Trying my best to convince myself this is not a dream, that this is here, that what is here is in front of me, the danger that and the danger my powers are warning me of is coming. That feels really weirdly phrased, but I don't know. So we're going to go back to editing mode. I'm going to go ahead and deny this because it's getting in the way of me reading through this. Okay, so that's been dealt with. Okay. Now, I want to leave this ambiguous. My brother had mentioned it right here. The effects of me wielding it again. I kind of want to leave that out in the air, so when they do start wielding it during the battle, we can pick it back up. I don't feel like every question needs to be answered as soon as we bring it up. So, we're going to leave that there. Now, if we come back here, I quickly push energy into the scythe, charging and awakening it. So, I did think about that one last night. The first one I hadn't. Now, I'm kind of thinking it's my brother had given an example. The deadwood handle surges to life, its veins glowing with my power and forming ethereal roots deep into the earth below me. The iron blade blooms like a flower, silently unfolding into a gorgeous metal flower head, each petal a blade sharp enough to slice steel. Don't really like that. I like the idea that it sharpens, right? Um, but I'm thinking it should be a little bit different. So let's try this. So, realizing this means she is closer than I feared, I rush through just waking up my tool. I focus my mind on the memory of it. Memory of it. The individual ideas that I have attached to it. Attached to it. As I do so, I feel a swelling. I feel a swelling so bold. That the world melts away. Da da da. Scythe. S-Y. What is it? S-C-Y-T-H-E. Right? Or is it? Yes, SCYTHE. Cool. The scythe is all I see. Its pits, grooves, its pits and marks standing out amongst its what is the word? Its pits and marks standing out amongst its backdrop? No, that's not it. Da 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 da. What is this even called? Grain. We'll do that. Where am I typing? Okay. Its pits and marks standing out amongst its grain. Then, with the whole of its description held in my mind, I give it a purpose. I need to capitalize. Okay. I give it a purpose. A purpose to, what is it? A purpose to, there's a word that I had in my head mere moments ago. What is it called? Hmm. Yield? Yield to me and grow the world to my will. Okay. We're going to read through what we just wrote because I'm not sure how good it sounds. Okay. I rushed through waking up my tool. I focused my mind on the memory of it, the individual ideas that I have attached to it. Okay, I'm not sure about repeating it there. As I do so, I feel a swelling so bold that the world melts away. The scythe is all I see, its pits and marks standing amongst its grain. The whole of its description, then, with the whole of its description held in my mind, I give it a purpose to yield to me and to grow the world to my will. Okay, I actually do like that last part, but this, where is it? Okay, I have attached to it this. I focus on the memory of it, the individual ideas that I have attached to it. I focus my mind on the memory of SCYTHE. Okay. I rush through waking up my tool. I focus my mind on the memory of the scythe, the individual ideas that I have attached to it. As I do so, I feel a swelling so bold that the world melts away. The scythe is all I see. I like the feeling of that better. You don't feel like you're repeating ideas anymore. You feel like you're referring to them. Okay. So we need to have a transition between that scene and rushing out of the shed. With my powers tied to my tool and amplified by my understanding of its function. I rushing out of the shed. No. I rush out of the shed. Suddenly, so we're gonna fix these. Okay. With my powers tied to the tool and amplified by my understanding of it, I rush out of the shed. Suddenly I see that the clear sky has changed to a swirling thunderstorm. Not knowing how I didn't hear the rain, I run down the hill, trying my best not to slide on the now slick path. I like that a lot better than it was. Okay, so I'm going to resolve Heek's thing here, and his thing up here has been deleted. We are set. Okay, now we can actually start on the actual fight. Okay, I waver in attacking again. That is where we left off yesterday. Oh, let's see if we can get Heek in here actually. Were you wanting to come to stream? Hmm. My regular short's not working, so let me give him this. So he should be on his way. We may have to do another read through. I haven't quite figured out how to do that quite yet, but I'm going to go ahead and give him this as well. Perfect. So hopefully he should be here in a moment. Oh, yep, there's Anonymous Dingo. Perfect. Okay. So I waver in attacking again. What did we want to do from there? So, realizing that she, if I can type, is likely waiting on me. I need to capitalize that. Okay. Realizing she is likely waiting on me, I muster up the will to attack. Picking up my SCYTHE. Perfect. I plan my attack. Again, we're repeating this word. Let's try this. I muster up my will. Okay, now we're avoiding the word attack, but the idea is there. Okay, you're realizing she is likely waiting on me. I muster my will. But we need a space here. Picking up my scythe, I plan my attack. I can't let her get close again. Another well-placed shot will knock me out. Ah, for sure. Yes, because let's have them second guessing themselves. I'm on it. Okay. I can't let her get close again. Another well-placed shot will knock me out for sure. Okay, fine, Ewan. So Ewan's got that. uh, more of a rumble sound. Hmm. Kind of. It's like, why is he saying that out loud? Thinking, and it's a she. Let's try this. Thinking to myself. Better? Ewan, I'm I'm imagining like a big bubble of like high pressure air, like you'd find in a balloon, right? Um, so it wouldn't really be a rumble because it's not like things grinding into each other. It's like a big puff of air being released all at once. If you think of a regular explosion, what ends up being the large pop and the sizzle is the gas burning and letting off little amounts of that expanding hot gas. If you think about a balloon, what makes all that big squeaking sound is the rubber vibrating. But you end up with that low from the air releasing. So it's like that whoosh sound, but without anything in the way. Something we will never have in the real world because you're never just going to have the balloon disappear from around the balloon. That's just not how the real world works. So I'm not sure how to describe it exactly because we're not just going to go, do you mean wind? No. Well, you get a rumble from such explosions. Yes, because it's the pressure wave hitting the things around them. But it's not that. It's just the air disperses because it's high pressure close. What you are describing is the wind. No, it's not because it's small and contained. The wind is massive and not contained. But I see your point. The wind is too large of a scale, though. um, but I don't think it would be a rumble sound. Could be described as a blowing? Maybe. I agree. I really do not like the description of a large balloon pops slowly. That definitely needs changed. Like a blowing in all directions? We could go full iCarly and just say, the blowing has arrived. I don't know. Um, I like the description of a thud, though, because it's like, it just pops. Not even your spaghetti is safe from the blowing. Right. Okay, let's try it this way then. How can I keep link to this comment? I can't keep the comment if I'm going to delete this text, can I? That's annoying. Hmm. That's really annoying, actually. Okay. As if a... No, let's do it this way. Yeah, if I do that, it comes back. A loud whoosh emanates. Let's try that. That's not how you spell whoosh, apparently. Whoosh. Got it. Okay. A loud whoosh emanates from the compressed air. Sound better? I'm going to comment that with still taking suggestions. Still taking suggestions. Perfect. Okay. Thinking to myself, I can't let her get close again. Another well-placed shot will knock me out for sure. I will have to... What is it? Ah, you've requested a song, Heek. Did it not show you the first time? I will have to stay well clear of her while still finding a way to restrain her. Now that has given me an idea. What is this? Oh, okay. That almost sounds like a rubber band, but yeah. Oh, can you guys not hear that? Hold on. Demonetized! Totally. This should be on game. Oh, okay. Apparently we have not had game sounds all day. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this just sounds reminiscent of like a rubber band gun. But yeah, like a sudden whoosh of air. That's what I'm talking about. Not a sonic burst, but just whoosh. There's air that can't be there anymore because it was compressed. Okay. But this restraining has given me an idea. Heek and I have talked about this. What do you guys think about her being able to summon golems as a life crafter? I think this would be a good way to introduce that too, given it's somebody you can't get close to. Show don't tell maybe. What do you mean? What do you mean show that they're thinking? Also, you and I need to get icons on our accounts here, because this is just annoying. I can't tell the difference between you and I without actually reading. If she can't get close, why would a golem be better? Because the golems she can modify to be stronger. Show that he's weak and can't afford to take another hit instead of telling the reader directly. Okay, I see what you're saying. Or she. Yeah, I see your point. I honestly haven't described or decided on the gender here. Okay. Um. Yeah. So as far as golems go, they'd be more disposable, and if you remember earlier on, they have a way of making trees, um, like resistant to her sound waves. So what she could end up doing is making golems out of those trees, and that could be a good example of those transition plants. What is this going to be modified with? Hmm. I have icon. Yes, you do have an icon. I see that you have an icon. He and I do not, because these aren't our normal Google accounts. These are G Suite accounts. So we haven't bothered setting them up very much just yet. Okay, how can I do this then? Okay, got it. We're gonna do that. Stumbling. Wait, I think I already did that. Passing through the dense section of air, I fall to the ground, struggling to breathe. I release the air with a massive thud of a sound. A loud whoosh emanates from the compressed air. Looking up, I see Bella has disappeared. I do not see her in the around area. Getting up, I look around. I need to change these. And find Bella and see a wall of water and mist 100 feet away. No, I haven't. Okay. Stumbling. Wait, how did you change that? Now I can see that you're there. Okay. Interesting. Stumbling around to get a better vantage point. I find myself very weak. Okay, better? Stumbling around to get a better vantage point, I find myself very weak, thinking I will have to stay well clear of her while finding a way to restrain her. How's that sound? And then the next one we can line up into thinking about golems. And then maybe start the process of making one. Okay, I guess I'm doing that then. Let's see. So, why does this keep bumping? It's making me think something's happening. Okay. Golem could work, but the energy required would not be cheap. Okay. Would not be cheap. Let's do an easy feat. Looking around for an energy source. An idea comes forward. Why not the sound itself again? It worked well last time. Can I type, please? There, okay. So the idea here being that she could, and I'm not sure about this because we could do it two ways. One, she's taking she's taking a large area and converting the low sound energy or the low volume sound into energy. Um, so then it would be a large area to collect the energy from. And then the closer she gets to the golems, the more energy they would have to work with. So she would be able to craft the spell in a way that um, that they'd be able to make use of that energy in different ways. So they'd either be able to regen or have better armor, but you wouldn't be able to do all of them. There'd be some cost to it. So, I'm not sure. What would be the cost to having a larger area of um, gathering for the energy? So I guess if you have like a large space that you're pulling energy from, you would have to disperse any input over that larger area. So if you've just got Bella in one small section, uh, her individual large point of energy wouldn't be as much than if she were just targeting Bella as they got closer, or just targeting the energy that hit the golem. But if she were to do that, then the golem wouldn't be getting much when they're away from Bella. So you could do it that way. Hmm. Hmm. Let's do it that way then. Where is my cursor? There we go. I'd have have to do the energy collection a weird way. Wired. Okay. If they only collected energy, let's do sound energy they collided with, they would be too weak to live. Can I actually type these out properly? Quadruple kill! Why is this a thing? They'd be too weak to liver. Okay. Why randomly quadruple kill, Heek? They'd be too weak to live. 4 typos in a row. Yeah. If I wasn't, like, paying attention, I'd just typo all the time. So, okay. They'd be too weak to live. If I cast the net too wide, there would be no Gain from getting closer or wold. Okay. From getting closer or Heek, you deleted the space. Okay. From getting closer or being hit by sound. Okay. I'd have to do the energy collection a weird way. If they only collected sound energy they collided with, they only collected sound energy they collided with, they would be too weak to live. If I cast the net too wide, there would be no gain from getting closer or being hit by sound. Also, this needs to be capitalized. And there was something else. I think that's it. Okay. So the size must be in between, of course. Then the... Okay. I don't want to use perks here. What should the word be? Exposition dump. It's more the person trying to walk themselves through the spell. Does that make sense? Trying to come up with a plan. That's kind of my idea here. Because remember, I'm wanting them to have to think through the spells as they're doing them, particularly these complicated ones, like creating life. And yeah, it does need to be done in a very specific way. Okay, then the... Oh, what are they called? No gains? Okay. Um, so the size must be in between, of course. Then the gains from more energy should be specific. In this case, I think material hardness is ideal. So since it's wood, they can change the hardness of the material with more energy. That'd be harder to do with things like iron or glass, like for example. Um, since wood is more organic and already changes material hardness by itself, they'd be able to harden the wood as it weakens under strain. But they would require energy to do that. So when they have extra energy that isn't being used to keep them alive, they could spend it on something. So let's read through this whole thing. Okay. I'll have to stay well clear of her while finding an easy way to restrain her. Finding a way to restrain her. A golem could work, but the energy required would not be an easy feat. Looking for an energy. Okay. This is not energon. Source. An idea comes forward. Why not the sound itself again? It worked well last time. I'd have to do the energy collection a weird way. If they only collected sound energy they collided with. I deleted a space by accident. No, you added an extra space. No, that space is supposed to be there. Okay. Um, I'd have to. Okay. I'd have to do the energy collection a weird way. If they only collected sound energy they collided with, they would be too weak to live. If I cast the net too wide, there would be no gain from getting closer or being hit by sound. So the size must be in between, of course. Then the gains from more energy should be specific. In this case, I think material hardness is ideal. Okay. Now for the core. Looking around, I see my trees of hardened wood have since made their fruit. Okay, let's clean this up. given that the body of the golems will be made of the same wood, this seems perfect. Oh my gosh, add wood. Did I not actually type wood? Okay. Delete V. Okay. Picking one up. I study it. Its shape and every detail. Okay, its shape and... No, let's skip every detail. Composition and flaws. Okay. I feel like and every detail is just too much of a dump. Okay, I study it. Its shape, its composition, and flaws. Once I understand its description, I begin growing my specialty hardened wood around it. Hardened wood around it. Okay. Forming a low walking beast. Beastie. Okay. Um, with broad hands and wide forehead. Okay. Hmm. I do this 4 more times, giving me 5 columns. Each drawing their energy from the attack of their one opponent. Okay, let's read through this. Picking one up, I study it, its shape, composition, and flaws. Once I understand its description, I begin growing my specialty hardened wood around it, forming a low walking beast with broad hands and wide forehead. I do this 4 more times, giving me 5 golems, each drawing their energy from the attack of their one opponent. World revolving. Nice. Is it honestly not finding any of those when you go and search it up? I did not mean to move that. Okay. Dang, that stinks. Okay, I do this 4 more times, giving me 5 golems. Giving 5 me golems, because that's totally how you type. Okay. Now for the attack. I approach from 2 directions. 2 golems next to me, and 3 golems from... Okay. Let's actually split this here. 2 golems from behind her. Okay. I approach from 2 directions. 2 golems next to me, and 3 golems from behind her. Now my question is, would this work better here? So if we transition this properly. Once I understand its description, I begin growing my specialty hardened wood around it, forming a low walking beast with broad hands and wide forehead. I do this 4 more times, giving me 5 golems, each drawing their energy from the attack of their one opponent. Now for the attack. Now I might have to change attack. And then we start a new paragraph, so there's actually a time skip there. I approach from 2 directions, 2 golems next to me and 3 golems from behind her. Maybe we should change the word here. So, what would be a better word for attack? Maybe song? Since her attack is a song? I think that works. Now for the attack. Approach from 2 directions, 2 golems behind me and 3 golems behind her. Power? It's not directly taking from her power though. Like I said here, counters incoming sound waves with their own energy. Easy counter would be to stop sending energy into the effect area of the spell. An easy counter to taking power from your spell, or from your opponent's spell, like in this case, her attack is a widespread song, right? So if she decides to just stop sending out her song, these golems would literally just die. But our attacker, or our main character here, is betting on the fact that she is too enraged to realize that. Good morning, Nessa! You only have like 13 minutes left in the morning though, don't you? It's like 11:47. Decent afternoon! I don't know. No? You're 3 hours behind me, aren't you? 10:47. Oh, you're 4 hours behind me. Daylight savings time. You don't have it, do you? Because it's 1:47 for me right now. You do? Oh, 3 hours is 10:47. Never mind, I'm a bit of a moron. Okay. Let's do that. I hope to catch her by surprise. Surprise. No matter how foolish that might be. Bailey said, haha. Yes, I'm always stupid. So, we've made good progress on this, though. We have come from... Here. Right? I think so. I mean, it depends on how you define stupid, but yeah, I get your point. Delete space. Add paragraph 2 times. What? You deleted a space. And did that. I don't understand, but okay. Oh, and we went through all of the changes up here too, so. I was awake at 3 to 4 a.m. with paramedics in my house. Why? Okay. So no matter how foolish that might be. Why is this paragraph here so short? I'm not sure. My great grandma was falling out of her chair and we can't lift her. Ouch. That's rough. Okay. Getting closer. I see. Standing amongst the mist. Seemed like a large paragraph, so we split it. Space was deleted as there was one at the beginning of the sentence that wasn't needed. Ah, okay. Got it. Oh, there is a time skip there too. So yeah, that works. Okay. Getting closer, I see her standing amongst the mist. Screaming out into the sky and wailing upon her violin. Violin. Shattering the ground beneath her. Beneath her to the rocks. So Minnie was griefed. I think so. Okay, shattering. The round, because that's totally how you spell ground. Okay. I approach from two directions, two golems next to me and three golems from behind her. I hope to catch her by surprise, no matter how foolish that might be. Getting closer, I see her standing amongst the mist, screaming out into the sky and wailing upon her violin, shattering the ground beneath her to the rocks. She made a sad face, but I don't know if anyone else was. Anyone else was what? Down to the rocks. Griefed in the town. I'm not sure. I don't know if she went around and checked. She just went around. She just went and rolled everything back. Okay. Delete the from the behind her. But the behind her is a thing, Heek. Heek. The behind her is a thing. I'm gonna leave that. Okay. Amongst the mist, screaming out into the sky and wailing upon her violin, shattering the ground beneath her, down to the rock. It isn't though. It is. I'm going to the behind the house. That's a thing. Sneeze attack! Run away! Okay. Even if it's not, even if it is, it's not necessary. Why don't you say even if it's not necessary? That works. I love how Heek's actually mad now. Okay. Um, so we need to continue this. She stops. No. No, I already did that. Getting closer. Da, 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 da. And launching away from her strings, yet still emanating a sound so painful. No, a sound akin to screeching. Okay, now I'm gonna go back and fix this stuff. Heek, what are you highlighting? Okay, she suddenly sees me hand launching away from her strings, yet they still emanate. Let's try that. And I still cannot spell emanate. Okay. She lunges off the bedrock and in my direction, only to be stopped by my suddenly... No, we're good. Suddenly mobile. What do we say to say that it's the golems on the side of her? Hand golems or side golems or something akin to that? I want to specify that it's the golems next to her, rather than the golems that she sent behind. Hmm. Side doesn't really make sense. Side golems. Hmm. Maybe make it so there are differences between the golems. Maybe. I'm not sure what differences we would make, though. I was wanting to expand upon this, though. So that could be a possibility. Let's just put suddenly mobile golems for right now. I want to start getting into this fight. Okay, suddenly mobile golems. Let's put a period. They wrap their hands around her. So, da 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 da. In such a way that almost nothing shows. Okay? And nearly deafening the sound that comes from her. Okay? Nearly. Feeling as if this is too easy, I approach, checking the structure of my golems and seeing the spell at work. Thank you. I got the W. Okay. Seeing the spell at work. Hardening more and more as she attempts to output more sound. Maybe so that they have so many seeds. Maybe they only have so many seeds that would be viable for the sword of Golem, and so they're all different kinds of trees. Yeah, but they only made the one tree is the thing. Oh, I didn't want to add that to the dictionary. Okay. Um, hardening, please. Hardening more and more as she attempts to output more sound. Only for it to be mostly absorbed by the spell and the rest to be reverberated back into her. Okay. Perfect. Then suddenly the wood begins to rot. Not having been expecting this, I jump back. So the idea here being that she is, instead of doing a direct attack with sound like she had been expecting, she's attacking the wood itself. Um, so she's not quite as gone as she had assumed. Okay, so Maybe counter by using the rot. That's what I was about to have happen. Okay. Once I'm a distance away, I focus on the rot. Already knowing what it's made of as I built the wood itself, it is easy to work with. I force it to grow and take from the air and take matter from the air around it to, thank you, to feed it. Surrounding her with this enchanted rot, still hardening, and absorbing sound. I feel as though it's over. Okay. Then a sudden, what's the word here? A sudden, there's a word. Not crash. Twang? Okay. Then a sudden twang comes from the center of the sphere as she yanks on her strings with her powers, forcing the last of her energy back and forth through her violin. Okay, so the idea here is she's making a reverberating sound with her violin, like she had been doing at the beginning, but this time she's doing it in a confined space, trying to overwhelm the spell. So she's gonna make the rot that is part of the enchanted wood from before brittle because it's hardening. Um, so even though it's hardening and better able to absorb the sound, once it absorbs enough and becomes hard enough, it's just going to be super, super brittle. At least that's the idea. Then a sudden twang comes from the center of the sphere as she yanks on her strings with her powers, forcing the last of her energy back and forth through her violin. Then a hole appears in the side. Here's in the side of the mound from where the rot had become brittle due to the overactivity of my malformed spell. What are you doing? Oh, you're changing it. Okay. Da, 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 da. Don't think that's how you play a violin. I know, that's the point. She's getting desperate. She couldn't get to her bow. That's the point. Because she was pinned. She just got to it the only way she could. I know that's not how you play a violin, Heek. What a mistake. I had an idea of where I was going with that. Okay. What a mistake. I need to take my time. Thinking to myself, I consider how I might fix this with the other 3 golems I have left. Okay, thoughts so far? Okay. So my general idea with how they're going to be interacting with each other in the fights is similar to what they do in Aragon. I know you haven't had the read that, Heek, um, but essentially every magician knows that the other can kill them in an instant, um, and that's kind of how it is here. Except you do have protections against it here. The general idea, though, and I'm not wanting to bring the I'm just gonna walk up and kill you. The general idea is that they spend more time trying to, so more like MTG story. I've never read that, um, but they spend more time trying to figure out uh, broken parts of spells. So, like in this case, she thought, oh, it's a wooden golem. I can rot the wooden golem, and then it won't be as effective, right? She rots the wooden golem, then the Lifecrafter was skilled enough to get the rot to grow, and the enchantment she applied to it still apply. Well, then she got past the enchantment by causing it to become brittle enough, because that's the thing about hardening. Each one was a guess and a chance that it might work, but there wouldn't be any inherent harm to it. She would still be stuck either way. Does that make sense? So they're just like escalating in this could work, but there's also some damage. This could work, but there's definitely some damage. This might work, but I've got no other options, and if it doesn't work, I'm dead. That kind of thing. So you escalate through these different chances to fix something, or you know an immediate counter to it. So if you've got a wall of fire coming towards you, you know immediate counters to fire. You take away its oxygen, you take away its heat, things like that. You were banned for 1 second? Oh no! We were 1 second without Nessa! Also, the image you posted said 0 seconds. So. Beaned! Yes, I know. It's a joke, though. Um, so that's kind of what I'm wanting their battles to be, is less trying to physically overcome them, and more trying to use their powers to get around the enchantments they've used. Because, like I've said, you have to completely understand the enchantment you're trying to cast. So they didn't consider making it too brittle when they cast the enchantment. So now they have to go back and edit the enchantment or add another enchantment to fix this brittleness problem. So how would they do that? Well, they could check to see if it's too brittle and then just cause it to spend energy reverberating all excess energy. Does that make any sense at all? I just realized neither of our fights use the rule system. That is true. At least in my case, this is one of the what's it called? The exceptions to the rule system. In yours, it very well could. So was mine. Okay, yeah. That is a valid point, though. Ah, the trained Zeus is an outlaw. Okay. That makes sense then. Dude, okay. Yeah, I get it. In my case, it's just it was random and this person hadn't been a mandate for a while. But yeah, we'll definitely have to do another fight where we're guaranteed to use the rule system. Because that's something we've got to flesh out. So ways to fix it with the other three golems. Like I said, they could check to see how brittle the substance is, and change the spell based off of that. Which shouldn't be too hard if you think about it. It's like if you're thinking about it like code, it's like if substance is this brittle, do this instead or add this on. So at least an outlaw amongst the mandates, since most mandate would be considered outlaws to normal humans. True. Another option would be to completely remake them, as Lifecrafters could do, destroy the golem and redo the enchantment a little bit differently. I think we might want to go back to this and redefine how it was made. Okay, forming a low walking beast with broad hands and a wide forehead. Okay. Then focusing on its heart, now buried in deep. Okay. Ah, sneezes. Maybe you should get some allergy medicine. Deep inside. It's deep inside the wood. I start. My dentist was sick yesterday. Well, his helper was. Sneezes an American. Yeah, totally he. Okay. I start building the spell in my mind. My mins. Okay. Spell is two L's, by the way. Okay. Spell in my mind. Wait, did we make it to... We made it to the third page without even realizing it. Sneezes in Canadian. We can see past some of your green screen. Ah! This keeps moving. It's getting annoying. Okay. Da, 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 da. Where was I? I start building the spell in my mind. Okay. What else? I remember. No. I hear. I hear the sound of Bella's music out. No. Bella's music and mark it as what it should conceal. Then. Okay. Then focus on the form. No. The way sound interacts with the golem. Tracing out the ways it. Okay, the ways it transfers its energy and attempts to break it down. Okay. I imagine the wood fighting this using energy that was sent to destroy it. If I could spell, destroy it, okay? I feel the wood hardening. Feral, okay. And growing stronger as it fights back. And music is off, back on. Building up its resistance to the music and fixing what is broken. Okay, let's read through this. Where did we start? Once I understand its description, I begin growing my specialty hardened wood around it, forming low walking beasts with broad hands and a wide forehead. Forming a low walking beast with broad hands and a wide forehead. Then focusing on its heart, now deep inside the wood, I start building the spell in my mind. I hear the sound of Bella's music and mark it as what it should conceal. Then focus on the way it sounds and interacts with the golem, tracing out the ways it transfers its energy and attempts to break it down. I imagine the wood fighting this, using the energy that was sent to destroy it. I feel the wood hardening and growing stronger as it fights back, building up the resistance to the music and fixing what was broken. Sound good? It doesn't touch on it growing brittle, as it would be something the mandate hadn't considered. Um, and when we go and amend the spell later, we'll have to think back to how the spell was originally and then modify it in specific places. Make sense? Is that clear to anybody, or is it just confusing, like, jargon? Because this is actually something I need feedback on, because I really don't know if it makes any sense. I'm going to bold that for now. Okay, I guess we're going to move on to making the second spell then. Stepping backwards. I don't think it works too well. Okay, under what circumstances and why? Because I think it makes sense. I like the idea behind it. Um, as you have to describe each thing that the mandate is trying to act upon in the spell and what that acting is supposed to do in specifics. Um, as the mandate would have to do in their head. It feels too vague as to what he's actually doing and doesn't touch on what's actually happening. I see your point there. But I do specifically say that it's harnessing the energy and that it's hardening the wood. In what way is that vague? Are you saying that it's vague and that it doesn't look like he's actually casting a spell, or it's vague in what the spell is doing? I feel like it can be phrased better. Okay, let's see. Then focusing on its heart. Hmm. Okay, phrased better in which way? What the spell is doing, or the fact that they're casting a spell? Because I'm still not clear on that. That area? What does this mean? That's its goal. Yeah, I know. Jim's been really weird lately. So if you think about hmm, this, they wrap their hands around her in such a way that almost nothing shows, nearly deafening the sounds that come off of her. This, the music. Oh, I see what you're saying. Um, and mark it, the music, and then it as in the heart. So yeah, I can see how that would be vague. Let's see. And mark it. I think that's definitely referring to music, but this it is awkward. Mark it as what? Mark it as the goal? Is that better? How about marking it as the goal? Or as the opponent? Or task? What about this? Mark it. Maybe describe him as transforming the wood to specifically block the sound of Bella's music. It's not specifically to block the sound of Bella's music. That line is supposed to be him giving the golems their task. How's that? I hear the sound of Bella's music and mark stopping it as their task. Maybe, but the sound of Bella's music is required later in the spell as well, as they need to be focusing on sound. So I don't think the order of the spell matters as much as they have the whole thing in their head and how they all interact with each other. Does that make sense? Yeah, I saw that, Nessa. I'll be resetting his playtime. Well, you would form the golem before telling it what to do. Yes, but the rest of the spell here isn't forming the golem. It's putting an enchantment on the golem, which doesn't matter in what order you do it. You can put enchantments on living things. And they could have told the heart what to do before forming a body around it. True, you'd have to form the heart first, but I really don't think the order of the spell matters too much. What matters is being able to convey the relationship between each individual action. Does that make any sense? So it's going, then focusing on its heart, now deep inside the wood, needs to be clear what the reader, what he to the reader what he's doing before that. Okay, so Then focusing on its heart, now deep inside the wood, I start building the spell in my mind. Stated there, I hear the sound of Bella's music and mark stopping it as their task, then focusing on the way sound interacts with the golem, tracing out the ways it transfers its energy and attempts to break it down. I imagine the wood fighting this, using the energy that was sent to destroy it. I feel the wood hardening and growing as it fights back, building up resistance to the music and fixing what was broken. I feel like that's pretty clear. It specifically states that they're building the spell, and then it states that they're putting it as their task, and then states that it's using the energy from the music to fight back. I imagine the wood fighting this sound that's trying to destroy it, using its own energy that's used to destroy it, and then the wood hardening and growing stronger as it fights back, the method which it's fighting back. Uh, this just isn't making sense to me. I don't know. It's making sense to me. I'll have to put it in the chat and see what people think. So I'll put it in the Mandate Ascension chat. Da, 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 da. I'm trying to think of a good way to split it. Okay, let's do this way. I wanted to find an area that mentioned golems. So we'll be saying, given that the body of the golems will be made up of the same wood, this seems perfect. Picking one up, I study its shape, composition, and flaws. Once I understand its description, I begin growing my specialty hardened wood around it, forming a low walking beast with broad hands and wide forehead. Then focusing on its heart, now deep inside the wood, I start building the spell in my mind. I hear the sounds of Bella's music and mark it stopping it as their task. Then focus on the way sound interacts with the golem, tracing out the ways it transfers energy and attempts to break it down. I imagine the wood fighting this, using the energy that was sent to destroy it. I feel the wood hardening and growing stronger as it fights back, building up its resistance to the music and fixing what was broken. Okay, let's comment on that. Heek is confused, taking feedback. Okay, so we're going to do that, and I will bring this over. So Heek is having issues with the way I described a specific the way my mandate casts spells. Okay? I could use some feedback on it if you have any ideas. Okay, and I'll be able to link that comment as well. So we're going to do that. Here is the link to document along with a comment where feedback directly on the section can be put. Okay, sweet. And this, so link to this comment. We're going to copy this and see what it looks like. Paste and go. Nothing. It doesn't do anything. That's not helpful. Google, why? The comment's not even... Okay, there it is. He is confused. taking feedback. I don't understand why it didn't copy. Paste and go. It should bring me down to that comment, right? No, it doesn't. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. It just takes a minute. And paste. Sweet. Okay, we're going to do one more read through since we've added quite a bit, and then I'm going to call it here. So let's pause the music. So, an attack approaches. I open my eyes as my body tightens with fear, trying to wake up without moving as I search with my senses for what alerted me, finding that the air hums with a feeling, as if a sound is happening but I can't hear it. The air shifting like it would before a drummer beats or the swell of a piper as they take their breath. Every motion in the air around me feels hostile, like it's been given an intent that it didn't have before. My very breath feels acidic in my mouth, the gust scraping my throat as it exits. Trying desperately to make out the direction or purpose of this bizarre feeling, I lay in bed as I wait for the attack to be more clear. I listen. Then suddenly I feel insane, needlessly second guessing my powers like I did years ago. Berating myself mentally. What am I doing? Listening to the wind for an opponent. I toss the thought aside as I continue to mutter to myself and get out of bed to start my day. I have things to do, with or without a threat. I uncharacteristically use my powers, watering the plants by summoning little clouds out of the morning mist, or convincing the animals to listen to me and go where I need them. Trying my best to convince myself that this is not a dream, that what is here and in front of me is real, and the danger of my powers is warning me of is coming. As my body wakes to the exertion and requirements of my chores, I get this nagging feeling that I should recognize the sensation, and that I've felt it before, somewhere else. The sound changes ever so slightly as the memory comes to mind. It's just enough that I can make it out now. It's a slow rise and fall, as if to a beat too far apart for me to notice. Ah! Scrambling to gather my things, I attempt to block out my fear. The last time I heard the sound, everything changed. Running up the path from my field to the shed in terror, I try to gather my thoughts about what's approaching. We were told she was stable, that she had found where she was supposed to be. What happened to set her off like this again, and why did she come this way? My thoughts stop as I near my shed. It has been so long since I've required the use of my tool. The moment hangs heavy in my mind as I consider the effects of me wielding it again. As I approached the door, I remember the feeling with my tool, the power it gave me, and the connection to the world around me I felt when moving together with it. I smell the fresh scent of my powers at work from the back of my mind, the clean air, pure water, and rot of transmutation, and the scent of pure joy. As my hands itch for the feel of my scythe, I reach for the door, and find that my tool on the other side. Picking it up, it feels like any other scythe, a deadwood handle with an iron blade, and to anyone but a mandate of my particular skill set, it is. I have almost forgotten the sound that approaches as I get caught up in the reclamation of my tool. As I remember that it's there, it changes, almost as if in reaction to my thoughts, it starts humming deeply, sounding as though the ground itself is moving. It shakes my bones in a way that is impossible to ignore. Realizing that this means she is closer than I feared, I quickly push energy into the scythe, charging and awakening it. I rush through waking up my tool. I focus my mind on the memory of the scythe, the individual ideas I have attached to it. As I do so, I feel a swelling so bold that the world melts away. The scythe is all I see, its pits and marks standing amongst its grain. Then the ah, then with the whole of its description held in my mind, I give it a purpose to yield and grow the world to my will. The powers tied to my tool, with my powers tied to my tool, and amplified by my understanding of its function, I rush out of the shed. Suddenly I see the clear sky has changed to a swirling thunderstorm. Not knowing how I didn't hear the rain, I run down the hill, trying my best not to slide on the now slick path. Looking over the hills, I see a swirl of water approaching. That it's pulsing with and against the rolling beat in the air. I know who it is. Readying my scythe, I grow hardened trees around me, hoping that I remember how to make them resistant to her sound. Spreading the tree trunks around me and my house, I prepare for the approach. A few minutes later, Bella rushes down the hill, tearing up the ground in her wake from sheer force of the sound coming off of her. As she gets nearer, I hear the subtleties of the song coming from her instrument, each note tearing through my ears with the force of a hammer. It screams as though it were human. As long as I'm remembering correctly, her tool is a violin. Violins should not make this sound. It is agonizing. A scream so guttural it makes me want to puke from the pain it contains. The hostility in the air is suddenly a full-on attack, tearing at my skin and peeling at its layers. I wield my tool and hold the air around me, buffering the sound with its own energy. She is suddenly in front of me, pulling back her bow. She flicks the fingers of her hand and draws her bow across the strings, letting out a wave of force so strong it makes it through my spell, throwing me in the direction of the heart of my age-hardened trees. Time shifts. I see her face, unfeeling and yet insane in every way, her eyes lost and searching for something unreachable. Realizing I am in danger, I search for the air around me and move as much as I can behind me to soften my landing. Passing through the dense section of air, I fall to the ground, struggling to breathe. I release the air and a massive thud of a sound. A whoosh emanates from the compressed air. Looking up, I see Bella has disappeared. I do not see her in the surrounding area. Getting up, I look around and find Bella. I find Bella and see a ah. Looking up around to find Bella, I see a wall of water and mist 100 feet away. Not sure what she is planning, I waver and attacking again. Realizing she is around Realizing she is likely waiting on me, I muster my will. Picking up my scythe, I plan my attack. Stumbling around to get a better vantage point, I find myself very weak, thinking I will have to stay clear of her while still finding a way to restrain her. A golem could work, but the energy required would not be an easy feat. Looking around for an energy source, an idea comes forward. Why not the sound itself again? It worked well last time. I'd have to do the energy collection a weird way. If they only collected sound energy they collided with, they would be too weak to live. If I cast the net too wide, there would be no gain from getting close or being hit by the sound. Da, 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 da. So the size must be in between, of course. Then the gains from the energy should be specific. In this case, I think the material hardness is ideal. Now for the core, looking around, I see my trees of hardened wood have since made their fruit. Given that the body of the golems will be made of the same wood, this seems perfect. Picking one up, I study it, its shape, composition, and flaws. Once I understand its description, I begin growing my specialty hardened wood around it, forming a low walking beast with broad hands and a wide forehead. Then focusing on its heart, now deep inside the wood, I start building the spell in my mind. I hear the sound of Bella's music. Who is this? Peek, you changed color! I hear the sound of Bella's music and mark stopping it as their task. Then focus on the way the sound interacts with the golem, tracing out the ways Bella's energy attempts to break it down. I imagine the wood fighting this, using the energy that was sent to destroy it. I feel the wood hardening and growing stronger as it fights back, building up its resistance to the music and fixing what was broken. I do this 4 more times, giving me 5 golems, each drawing their energy from the song of their one opponent. Now for the attack. I approach from 2 directions, 2 golems next to me and 3 golems from behind her. I hope to catch her by surprise. No matter how foolish that might be, getting closer, I see her standing amongst the mist, screaming out into the sky and wailing upon her violin, shattering the ground beneath her down to the rock. She suddenly sees me, hand launching away from her strings, yet they still emanate a sound akin to screeching. She lunges off the bedrock in my direction, only to be stopped suddenly by my suddenly mobile golems. They wrap their hands around her in such a way that almost nothing shows, nearly deafening the sound that comes from her. Feeling as if this is too easy, I approach, checking the structure of my golems and seeing the spell at work, hardening more and more as she attempts to output more sound, only for it to be mostly absorbed by the spell and the rest to be reverberated back onto her. Then suddenly the wood begins to rot. Not having been expecting this, I jump back. Once I'm a distance away, I focus on the rot, already knowing what it's made of. As I built the wood itself, it's easy to work with. I force it to grow and make the matter from the air around to feed it, and take matter from the air around it to feed it. Surrounding her with this enchanted rot, still hardening and absorbing sound, I feel as though it's over. Then a sudden twang comes from the center of the sphere as she yanks on her strings with her powers, forcing the last of her energy back and forth through her violin. Then a hole appears in the side of the mound from where the rot had become brittle to the overactivity of my malformed spell. What a mistake. I need to take my time. Thinking to myself, I consider how I might fix this with the other 3 golems I have left. Okay, on that note, I'm going to call it here. I will see you guys Tuesday for what might either be this or Sprout. I'm thinking it might be Sprout, but I will see you guys then. Have a nice night. And end.